Okay, guys, we got a really awesome podcast for you today. Again, I was meeting one of my heroes from my childhood, and he has done amazing things. Today, I sat down with Michoel Muchnik, one of the most incredible artists and authors that is in the Jewish world. And I'm just going to little plug for myself and for his book. This was one of my favorite books when I was a child, a double-decker purple shul bus. He brought a copy today, which is awesome. If you want to know where some of my earliest inspirations for community and love and just connecting with each other, this is it. Michoel Muchnik's stuff was amazing. And it really teaches you how to be wholesome and wonderful. He's obviously, this is old. He's done a lot of amazing stuff with his art and his influence in the Jewish world. We sat down, talked about just so many topics. I don't even know how to start. We both ADHD'd out. It was great. We went into like one topic to the next, talking about growth and healing and art and spirituality. I mean, it's just stock full of awesomeness. So I hope you enjoy it. Remember to like, follow, subscribe, and hope you have an awesome day.
Hello and welcome to the Brainstorm Podcast. And now, your host, Sonny Perlman.
We're live. Okay, Michoel Muchnik. Not Rabbi. I heard you on another podcast.
No Rabbi.
No Rabbi. Okay, I'm doing a little side intro.
Okay.
I sat with your son-in-law and your daughter, Dov and Chevy Oliver. Go look up that podcast, guys. And they mentioned that she mentioned you're her father. And I went into a little fanboy moment. Because, and this is where it gets interesting, because I loved your books when I was a child. So when I grew up, we had a couple of the books. I actually was looking them up going, I'm trying to remember which ones. The one that I really remembered was a double-decker purple shul bus, which is this book, okay, guys? And several other books. The other one is The Scribe. There was Mendel the Scribe.
The Scribe lived in a tree.
The Scribe lived in a tree. So it's interesting, and this is where it gets even more interesting, because when I look through, one of the beautiful things about my podcast is that when I'm looking through my life, I'm recognizing, people ask, oh, what's your inspiration in life? I'm recognizing the many inspirations that made me come to the places that I've arrived to. Mm-hmm. What I talk about most of the time, when you listen to some of the podcasts, and what I talk about most of the time is about community, about holding each other, about support. It's about living together and recognizing that we are, I guess, pack animals and we need each other. And I really was thinking that like one of the big messages of your books when I was a kid was this charming communities where people were there holding each other. There was something so idyllic and so special about that time that I'm trying to think of the word. The word is wholesome. There was a wholesomeness that really penetrated me. And and that has always been an inspiration. And when I heard that it's possible that you're going to come on, I got beyond excited. And so to me, this is a little bit of, now we just talked for so long, so there's so much to talk about, and we're going to talk about all that. But I just wanted to start with that, with that you are a big inspiration in my life. So it's very, very exciting. It's very exciting to meet you. So welcome.
I appreciate that. That's great. I mean, thanks.
Well,
if you really think about it, I guess my inner desire was for that to happen, when I wrote the books.
Well, it worked. And I want to ask you, before we get into some other topics, I have a very specific question, which I've had about one of your books.
I know what's coming.
Really?
Because you mentioned it in that podcast.
I mentioned the question?
Like, did Muncie Trails have to do with the podcast?
Was it Muncie Trails?
Okay. And my daughter said, no.
Okay, I'll ask the question for the people.
Okay.
Double-decker, purple shul bus. They have a Torah on the bus. They daven on the bus. I was like, is that inspired by Muncie Trails? I need to know.
And the answer is it was. It had just it's funny because Chevy's told you that it was not.
It was not.
She said, "Oh, I don't. Munchie Trails didn't exist." She doesn't even remember that she was back and forth because we were divorced. We're preparing, her and her mother moved to Muncie, still here, and they would come back and forth all the time. They'd come to me most Shabbosim, this kind of thing, and they were on Muncie Trails like a lot, right?
So they had no idea.
Maybe she doesn't want to remember that. I'm not so sure, but so yes, that was actually an inspiration for that, if you want to call it. Yeah.
I was saying, because I know.
So there's the answer to your question.
I'm so excited. I don't know why. Like when I found that, I made that connection years later. I'm like, they're davening and they have a Torah on the bus. It must be a connection.
Those books in general were like they were deeper things in those books. They weren't just for kids, so to speak.
Right.
The first book was all about the Baal Tshuva. It was called David Comes Home, and he was lost in the forest. And then if you read it again, you'll see that it was this whole story about Baal Tshuva and a Rebbe and all,
I want to read them again. I looked, and they are all out of print.
They are, but they keep reprinting them for years already. Yeah. Okay. In fact, what's so interesting to me is that someone said to me, because there's Chassidus in it, Someone said, "Oh, Michoel, wow, I'm really impressed that you're able to take these ideas of Chassidus and bring them into, for a 5-year-old." I said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "When I wrote the book, my level of Chassidus wasn't a 5-year-old, because I had just been in yeshiva for a couple years." You hear what I'm saying?
It's such a delightful answer. It's
anyways, yeah.
When you wrote these books, you were brand new, coming into the fold.
Okay. No, so it's a long story that I became from when I was about 20. I was from the hippie generation and all that kind of stuff, and then I became macrobiotic, and then I went to see a big lecturer, sort of spiritual guy, Meir Abessari. You might have heard that name.
Yeah.
So, and then, and he had become Baal Tshuva. His parents were from Sephardim, but the kids, they went to France, and and he became from, and I got there, and he had brought along a few of the other guys and gals, along with him. So, I don't know, it was just really interesting. So I just went for it. Right then and there.
Right. So I'm saying, when you wrote these books, you were.
After a while, after almost a year, I realized I had to go to yeshiva, and I was still young, and I went to. I was in the first class of Tiferes Bechorim, which was the first Lubavitch yeshiva for Balei Tshuva at the Rabbinical College, was the Lubavitch yeshiva. So I went there, and. But what was so interesting, then very soon after,
that was the Morristown place?
Yeah. I was there 2 years, and then I started doing my art as to make a living. So in my first Yechidus, I asked the Rebbe about doing children's books, and the Rebbe said yes. So I went to the Lubavitch Publishing, but what's still, to me, it's hard for me to believe. I mean, only the books that were published there were very scholarly from the Rebbes and that stuff, but there was hardly anything for young children. So they liked them, and they printed them. I look back on it, it's still amazing to me.
That they printed them?
Yeah.
Really?
That they just the force. It was just just amazing. There's all kinds of stories about things from those books and stuff like that.
Yeah. And did you start out as an illustrator? That was your...
No, I wrote them too.
No, I know you wrote them, but I'm saying...
No, my artwork, when I was in art school, was very sophisticated and very deep and very psychedelic and all kinds of stuff. It wasn't like this at all.
Right.
What happened when I became from, to me, it was like a little kid in a candy shop, so to speak. I just felt like a little kid in Cheder. So my art started to just become like this. And also, what you had mentioned before when we were talking about, like the early Baal Teshuvas, like we went through so much stuff. Like we found Yiddishkeit, we sort of came in with like a little bit rose-colored glasses, thinking everything's all so
right. I want to say a story. No.
Easy, bright, cheerful, spiritual, like that. But like,
when I was mentioning before that is the experience about Tshuva. I went to Or Samech when I was a teenager.
Right.
I was kind of coming back. It was different because I was from birth, but so they didn't actually want me there. That's another thing with the Baal Tshuva.
I could understand.
They don't really want. We make trouble.
I got it.
The from birth guys make trouble.
Yeah.
So I remember I was learning with my chavrusa, and after a while, I just recognized that something was like off in his face. And I was like, "What's wrong?" And like 5 minutes before, I had mentioned that my parents were divorced. He didn't know that, and so like I just saw him like confused for a while, and then I was like, "Oh," he's like, "You mentioned your parents were divorced." And I'm like, yeah. He's like, you told me you grew up Orthodox. I was like, yeah. Oh. And he said, Orthodox people get divorced?
Right.
Like his whole experience was like, this is the utopia. You've arrived. What do you mean you're getting divorced?
Wow.
Doesn't make any sense.
Wow.
So that was my experience. When I talk to someone about tshuva, like, my biggest question, I guess, I'll go right into it because we'll jump around different topics, but the question of the Baal Tshuva that I have is not so much what brought you here, what's your story, we'll leave that for Nachi Gordon on Meaningful Minute, he'll get the whole story, but it's what happens when you're a Baal Tshuva and then you raise a family and then your kids raise a family, you're bringing these rose-colored glasses into a world that's very real. And the topics I talk about on the podcast are all like very real, deep topics. And it's a real world with a lot of good and a lot of bad. And then having to raise your kids, having to deal with the yeshiva system, how to deal with, like, was there a like coming to earth time in your life? I'm curious about that. This is not on the art. I'm just...
There was a lot of coming to earth from the very beginning, in yeshiva, even before I got to the yeshiva, because that's just the way things are. But you try to keep in the la-la land, but it doesn't work, right? So you start to just mature up and, realize, okay, you have to deal with this or deal with that. And you're going to take in any kind of experiences you've had in your life beforehand to like apply them in these situations, right? Having said that, you were talking about community and having a Rebbe who was like really very understanding of where people were at, way above the understanding of the time. They didn't, see some long-haired hippies come and want to they didn't know how to deal, but the Rebbe just saw neshamas like wanting and that kind of thing.
Right.
So from the Rebbe on down, you had people who got it and really wanted to be there, and not only to be there for the Baalei Tshuva in our community, at least in the Lubavitch, but also really I don't know how else to say. They were really there for us, even if they made mistakes and didn't understand some things. There was a lot of sincerity by certain individuals. Others, no. There was sometimes, I remember the first time someone cheated me on business or something like that. That was shocking, because I thought everybody with a beard and davening 3 times a day is like a tzaddik, right? Then you start to realize, okay, they also have a yetzer hara, But then you sort of have to integrate all this stuff. But yeah, it was sometimes it was really, really tough. And sometimes there was people who I don't know. It tested their faith, and they didn't stay from maybe or so much or whatever like that.
Right. Some people definitely got disillusioned and moved on.
Right. But if you really were dealing with the real inward stuff and people, and you chose who to spend time with and who to be your mashpia or something like that, then it was, And I remember what one of my first rabbis said in the yeshiva. So he said, if you're not happy doing this, you're not going to last. You're not going to last.
What does that mean?
Some people are like so serious about everything, or just like they start to take off the stuff, like, you know, like so seriously in the sense of like being depressed that they you know, Averas, you know, you have to know how to like, you know, some people, they really weren't getting a lot of stuff, you know, the balance.
I had a joke.
You hear what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I had a joke when I was, sometimes I say things, I'm seeing my wife's voice go, don't say that. So, I have my wife, Yali, over here sitting there going, why are you saying that joke? But I'm going to say it anyway. I have this joke we used to say when we were there is what's the difference between a Baal Tshuva and a from birth? And the answer was sense of humor. It was like, we were like around like, when I was in Or Samech, it was like very serious. Everything was like really intense. We're getting connected to our Kadosh Baruch Hu, and like it was like the most intense.
Like taking it very, like a little too seriously. So
I was like, you're not gonna last if you're not able to laugh. At a chazan who's like going off and who's totally tone deaf. If you can't laugh at that,
right,
you're not gonna make it.
No,
anyway,
absolutely. I'm totally funny with you with all that stuff.
Wait, so could I want to pull you back a little bit to Meir Abusera and macrobiotics.
Yeah.
Okay, because that is something. First of all, is that something that you're still practicing, or is it a long
First of all,
time ago?
macrobiotic, that really macrobiotics and the whole thing was sort of a votive Zohar type of thing. It's a Zen philosophy. If you're really into it like that, it's really not very kosher, you know, just isn't. So it's health was one thing, or you know, or that kind of. Most people who are into that still are very health food conscious to a certain degree,
Right.
like just normal.
Because I know for a period of my childhood, my mother tried to do macrobiotics with us.
But you must have hated it.
It was terrible. We had things like agar. You know?
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is.
Instead of Jello,
Instead of Jello, we used to have agar. We used to make fun of this stuff. It was terrible. But we all became very good negotiators because we take this terrible snacks to school and like convince other kids that's way better than Twizzlers, and they should give us their Twizzler. You know?
I know I hear you.
So it's not.
But it was an incredible experience in the sense, like for people who were like detoxing from drugs. Like we were into a lot of drugs in the '60s,
right?
And all that stuff. And also just like everything went, there was a discipline. There's a discipline there. You know, there's a discipline, and you know, don't eat this, you can't eat this. And I think it was actually a very good intermediate from there to become.
It's almost like the Rambam's rule of like going to the other extreme so that you can even out.
Right, exactly. But some people went too fast.
It's literally the opposite of using drugs.
If you go too fast, and you know this in your work, if someone just does this cold turkey stuff, it's usually not going to work out so good sometimes. I mean, I'm not a maven on the subject.
Right.
You
no,
are,
but there is an extreme that you go to come back to the middle. Right. Like the Rambam was pretty dead on in recovery. Yeah. Like he got it that there has to be that level of Baal Tshuva, that level of like switching over to macrobiotics. Yeah. Like the opposite of total crazy drug use is macrobiotics. Like that's you know, and then you come to the middle where it's like, oh, it's a good idea. Right. It's conscientious living on a very, very deep method. Yeah. So I would say if people try to stay in the intense place, it never works.
Right. But I remember when people would say, oh, you're going too fast, or you don't have to be that intense. We didn't like that because we needed to go that intense.
Right.
We were in the process of going more so we could come back and just sort of level out. You hear what I'm saying?
Well, it's like telling someone. I had this long discussion. I think it was Shabbos with my nephew. He was asking me all these questions about addiction, and he was really trying to understand, like, is it this escapism idea? And I personally can't stand the word escapism for addiction. Right. I'm not saying escapism doesn't exist as an idea.
Yeah, I've heard you say this a lot of times, and I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, so it's the idea is that to tell somebody who feels only badness all the time and he wants to feel good, and you tell them that's escapism,
Right,
drugs and this
right.
and that. It's like annoying. Like, what are you telling me? Like that's what I'm saying.
Right.
So in the same thing that you're talking about, like when you're going from kind of like searching for meaning in the 60s and all that, and then switching over, and then some rabbi's like, hey, take a chill. You're like, take a chill. I feel nothing.
Right.
Now I'm feeling something. Have you ever, is that the explanation?
Very, very, very true.
It's like you telling me I finally feel something and I should chill out. It's like, you don't get me.
Then there were like the people who were the most from, they thought this was great because we were like being like them.
Right.
Now, what happened was that underneath it all, there was stuff that we needed to work on, like, internal stuff. And we were either embarrassed because we were like trying to be like, tzaddikim, I guess you want to say. We didn't want to share certain things. It's not like it was Sober Village, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You were afraid to say things because maybe you're not going to get a good shidduch when the times come. Maybe they're going to find you had this in your background. There was things you didn't, and that was not so good. You really weren't getting the help you needed.
Right.
So a lot of, let's say, early marriages, different things, there was a lot of blow-ups because you can't hide that stuff when it comes to, again, you're both trying to be like, hold to this thing you think it's all. There was a lot of, it's so beautiful. I heard, it was a Rebbe Sicha, that the Kohen Gadol, when he went into the Kodesh Kodashim, so he wore this, the robe with the bells and the pomegranates, right? And the pomegranates are like sewn, some kind of embroidered thing, but the bells are like real bells and they tingle. And if they didn't have the ringing of the bells, it was like, you couldn't, if there was no sounding of the bells, it wouldn't be. So there was this beautiful sikha about like the pomegranates represents like, until filled with mitzvahs already, it's like a tzaddik. His tshuva, his is like a quiet. His ascending is always like, it's quiet. He's always, going up. But the bells, the Baal Tshuva, bells is someone who's like, it's their whole thing is always noisy. It's never a smooth thing. It's always like, it's like a roller coaster, maybe more at the beginning, and then it starts, whatever, and it's a roller coaster that sort of goes up and up, but it's more like waves, and that kind of stuff. And you can apply all this to all kinds of things today with like meditation and breathing and all that kind of stuff. All these people become having a balance of the up and down, the rots of a shuv, all this kind of stuff.
I think what you're saying is such a cool concept, is that looking healthy is unhealthy when you're in an unhealthy place.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like you're supposed to be making noise.
Yeah.
That's what's happening right now.
Like you have to like accept it and surrender to the fact that it's just noisy. And when you're when you're either falling, like fell down a few steps or something like that, you have to know that this is you're in a process. You're not, and this is across the board. It's a universal thing for helping people heal from any kind of like things, right?
I mean, but it's definitely a draw. Even in my own life, like when I'm making changes, I don't want to make a lot of noise about it. I want it to seem like I got it all together while I'm like headed towards.
Well, good luck, hatzlacha. I mean,
right. No, but I mean, that's a fascinating. I know that I grew up in a family also. It was like the community I grew up in was a Baal Tshuva community. And when
Shar Yashuv, right?
Shar Yashuv.
By the way, that's the first yeshiva I went to check it out.
No way.
Yes. From Binghamton, where I was with Meir Abaseras, so there was a couple guys who went there. So I went there first, and then I had a friend who went to Chabad. So I went there for an afternoon, then I went to Chabad to check them out. I just ended up staying at Chabad.
Yeah, Chabad.
Talk to me more.
I'm curious. What was your experience in Shar Yashuv then?
No, I tell you, I wasn't there very long. I mean, I just like first of all, I didn't know these guys that well. They had already left, so I didn't like know them really. I just knew that they were one of Meir's, chevra. I met the Rosh Yeshiva.
Rabbi Freifeld.
Rabbi Freifeld,
They call him the Rebbe.
And he was very, very nice. I don't remember any long conversation. I was already Shomer Shabbos, all that kind of stuff, on whatever level. And then, but I said, oh, after the thing, I said, okay. I said, well, tonight I'm going to Morristown to check that out. So he looks at the 2 guys and he says, I think we've lost him. I'm telling you what happened.
That's what he said?
Yeah.
He was right.
And he just sensed maybe that, like, I was looking for something, like, where I ended up. But,
yeah.
It's so interesting that we started with these children's books. I was thinking about it this morning. And because I'm really into, like, inner child work and all this kind of stuff, like, and just like you were saying, how it affected you as a child, like these things. It's just so interesting because I've watched many of your podcasts, and I don't know if I am, but I'm probably one of the older ones that's come on this podcast. Is that true?
A.B. Rottenberg was probably.
And she had 1 or 2, whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking of the contrast, right?
Okay, contrast with what?
Of something that you started with. What brought you to have me here was this, like, something from your childhood, something I did for 5-year-olds, right? And then I'm sitting here, like, it's from 2 very different vantage points, right? From your childhood, and now I'm sitting here, and from my old age, you want to call it, I hate to call it that, but you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
No, like, it's just the scope of it, and just like, in other words, with all this stuff and all this noise and all the different things and the whatever, I've not had an easy time. No one does, but whatever. It's like this. I still have like that inner child like stuff. They're still in me. Like didn't mess up.
I mean, when you
do you hear what I'm saying?
I'm hearing what you're saying on some level. Sounds like there's a couple of levels here, a couple of layers here.
No, I think inner child, it doesn't get, you help a person find their inner child purity, if you want to call it. Mm-hmm. It doesn't really leave you. It's really there. You just have to help people find it.
Find their inner child.
Yeah, find that place. It doesn't, like, you don't, like, lose your childhood. You do. People, sexual abuse, all kinds of things. All of us, you're talking about, you come and you find everybody's not so righteous, that kind of stuff. You lose your childhood innocence, right?
Right.
But, like, there's a part that you don't lose. That's what I've seen.
Are you refinding it now, or is just always been there?
I think I was always trying to keep it in my art, for sure.
I find when people say, like, a lot of people I'm dealing with.
I mean, I did lose some. Like, I used to like it's really, like, sort of whimsical stuff, and then when I was going through some difficulties in life, and so my art became more serious. So I sort of, but you can't, that's okay. But I'm saying, but ultimately, like, I'll share with you something that the Rebbe once said about what children have, that it's something which we can learn from and never lose. One is them, they're always present. It's all about what's happening right now, right? And the other thing is chayas. They're just energized.
They have energy. Yeah. This ad is for the women listening to this podcast. This company is called Wig Guru. It's wig-guru.com. They have the most innovative ways to deal with one of the worst issues of wigs, which is slipping back and it looking not in place. Women have a big issue with, not noticing when everybody could tell that it's a wig because it's slipping back. The amount of innovative products that Wig Guru have is phenomenal. They are customer-based. Many, many customers are reaching out and saying, could you make this product in this different way? And, I like this part, but I don't like this part. There are many, many different types of wig grips, including the trademarked and copyright pending Grip-A-Fix, original Grip-A-Fix, and as well as her wig glue, which is water soluble and is taking the internet by storm. So go over there, put in the code BRAINSTORM, and you will get 10% off. It is wig-guru.com. Well, it's funny because I love what he's saying. A lot of the work that I do is people. I've mentioned, and if you listen to a couple of podcasts, the way I see addiction is that addicts are big babies.
Yeah, I've heard that statement.
Which is a funny statement. But but it's real.
It's real stuff.
But when you're talking about someone who's hit the point of full-blown addiction, it's all baby. It's all baby. It's all like, please, someone give me something so that I could survive in this world. It's complete dependency.
It needs to be completely taken care of.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of the work that people are doing to get out is they're kind of trying to kill the baby. So it's like, stop the drugs, stop the this, like there's a lot of like killing off of the baby. Like leave the baby away. And bas-reliefs probably have a similar experience where it's like, enough of this chaos and craziness. I want it to all be serious and mean something and all adulty type stuff. And what I found is that if it's like that rabbi said to you, if you're not enjoying it, if you're not like, and I'll put it in the addiction perspective, if you're not enjoying the recovery, it's going away because you cannot kill the baby, because the baby is where all art comes from, where all music comes from, where all creativity comes from, where meditation comes from. Any presentness, any excitement, any creativity is all from the baby. So we can't kill the baby. The big problem is how to figure out how to manage trying to be an adult and a baby at the exact same time. So I find it interesting. The reason I was asking the question is, are you refining the baby? Because I find that this pendulum, there's like about 30 years in your life or 40 years in your life where you basically try to kill the baby. Where it's like from 20 to 60, you're like, I need to take this very seriously. I have to build retirement plan. I have to raise my kids. And then
grown-up stuff.
Right. And then I was asking that because I'm curious if, as you're going over, like you said, I don't have too many older people on my podcast, or all of a sudden you're like, oh, I could go back to the baby. I could, like when you were bas-reliefs, you had the baby, and now it's like, now I could go back to the baby. I don't have to raise the kids. I don't have to do. I'm wondering if it's re-versioning. I don't know. Is that
This is very profound what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm like really getting into this.
Yeah, no, it's
because
a special thing.
and I've seen it with some old people. I don't call myself old. I'm talking about people who are whatever. That some of them have like a twinkle in their eye, and it's like, you just want to. They're like magnets. You just want to be around them. You have a twinkle in their eye. You feel like there's so much wisdom. They seem to be like that things don't bother them so much. Like they have like they're. Like the littlest things can make them smart. And then you have other old people that just like, it seems like, seriously, and I hate to say it, but they're really just, they sort of want to deteriorate and die. I'm really not kidding. I've seen both, okay? Yeah. I mean, to the extreme. Like,
to be fair, they both sound like babies.
Well,
like one of them's having a tantrum and one's having the time of their life.
That's very...
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, maybe because you're sort of the part where you have to sort of be like the grown-up things that's like you said, like starts to wane and it becomes this whole different existence. But I don't know, old age is weird. I just thought it's very weird. I don't know what God makes it like this, but He does. But I think it's a golden opportunity to actually get more in touch with your inner child. Is what I'm trying to say.
I know.
From what you're saying, I never realized about that, but now that you're saying it. I can see that.
So you're really tapping into the inner child work now.
I'm also like I do private like things with inner child work either through my art or other things with people, and I'm just really good at that because I'm empathetic and I know that place exists and I help them get there. When I do these like these art workshops, I do.
Yes, tell me about the art.
No,
hold on a second. Shava, middle of a podcast. You just keep going. Call mommy, all right? Love ya. She called me like 5 times.
I see. Sometimes you edit them, and sometimes you leave them on.
I think I always leave them.
I love it.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. Tell me more about this inner child work stuff. Sorry to take you so philosophical.
Well, it's also connected with this. No, I know. Like, you never know where these podcasts are going to go. They're very cool.
Yeah.
No, I developed this, like, I call it somatic art workshops, where you're really like taking. A lot of people come to it. I put it on my flyer that you don't have to know anything about art or have been considered doing art or anything. And that's a whole nother thing, by the way, which is exactly what we're talking about. If children don't have that ability and safe environment to create, and live their childhood properly, like in that sense, it's really not good. Like a lot of people say they're not good at art or they can't draw. It's because way back when something happened, some judgment that told them they can't. And this could have happened when they were 6 years old. I have I have a little meditation I do with people sometimes. It's like, just picture yourself like it's like whatever.
Wait, is this something we could do right now?
Something we can do right now?
Sorry to do this too.
We could do lots of things. No, I don't know about this. This one you could do it without really going to a full meditation. But it's just like that you're a little kid, like really little, like 1.5 years old, right? And you're crawling on the floor or whatever, and you find a big piece of chalk, and there's like paper on the floor. Maybe one of your kids is doing something, and the first time you take it and you actually see that, oh, when I take this, I'm making something on this paper. Like you see something happening, right?
Right.
And then you can just make sometimes, they get more excited, they get another color, and there's no judgment in their expression. They're just doing it, And that, right. Then the next day, the kid comes out and he takes the chalk and he starts doing it on the walls, right? And his mother walks in and freaks out and just slaps him on the wrist, takes the chalk away and says, well, just think about right then and there. Right. There's already a trauma, you want to call it, right?
Right.
Or his kid's now in first grade and he's trying to draw a face and the teacher walks by and says, that's not how you draw a mouth, right? Instead of teaching him how to draw a mouth, or it doesn't even matter that you don't know how to draw a mouth, just express yourself for crying out loud, right? That kind of thing.
Right.
Now, move along this until you have these yeshiva situations where where they're sitting and they have no time to express anything. And sometimes I just had a guy this past Shabbos, told me he wanted to get a bicycle and the parents said it wasn't Chassidic or something. A guitar. Guitar? Not Chassidic.
Right.
And this guy's like totally like, he lost it. What I need this religion for at some point. Do you get where I'm going with all this?
It sounds like you're killing the baby.
You're killing the baby, right?
Right.
And then people like the judgment. So you can go completely, this, it's across the board how babies are killed, so to speak. You want to call it that. I hear what you're saying. I mean,
I'm being a little dramatic. But.
No, but yeah, right. So when you now allow someone who's an adult now, and you give them the chalk and the piece of paper and just say, and you put some nice music and just like let it out. And then no judgment. As soon as they say, oh, this doesn't look good or this doesn't look right. No. I tell them, we're throwing judgment out the window. There's no judgment. You'd be amazed sometimes during the course of some of these things what people create who never did anything. It's absolutely amazing. It's astounding, really.
There's actual art there?
Yes. They make something, they create. It could be abstract.
Right.
But sometimes they're beautiful and they mean things. Sometimes it's like working through a difficulty, whatever, like that. But, and then I have these like things I'm developing I've done some in yeshiva classrooms here and there. I don't have time for all this stuff but at this point, but I really would like teachers to learn this kind of thing, or therapists who are working with kids in school, that kid can stop during the day and like do something that's just,
you're talking about a very huge topic in raising children. And it's funny because, again, I'm taking it back to my sober living homes, right, where I believe what we're doing is raising children. Meaning like
Right,
we're redoing.
You're redoing,
we're redoing
what didn't happen.
Right. So here's the huge dilemma. You know, the way I describe the homes is that we start with around 90% like level 1, which is like childhood. You know, like that's babyhood, like unconditional kind of love.
Right.
Not the word unconditional, but close to unconditional.
Yeah, got it.
And then about 10% drip of, you know, don't write on the wall.
Right.
Like, you know, like, and say, please, thank you, go to work, you know, like different stuff that we do. Like there's a drip of taking responsibility. And then as your child feels more and more safe, we could do more and more responsible things. And then you find some sort of equilibrium between the two. That's kind of the goal of life.
Well, that's normal parenting.
Right.
Yeah.
So the question is, you know, like every time you come in and you're like, oh, you start. Almost everything we're doing in disciplining and parenting and raising our kids is about saying, stop being a baby. Like, so, you know, so that to find the balance, I find it's like, it's a wild balance to try to figure out that, like, okay, but the kids shouldn't write on the wall. Like I don't want to use the
wasn't
word
implying
should.
when I said about the chalk.
No, I'm saying, but
like, there's a way to take the thing off, or to give the kid a piece of paper and say, "This is what we write." You know, I'm just saying. But there's
no, because it's funny because the generations go back and forth and back and forth. Meaning, I'm watching a generation that's like real tough. Maybe your generation, you grew up like everything is straight. I actually don't know when it, you know, from the people like who grew up, you know, their parents grew up in the 20s, the people who grew up in the 40s and 50s, it was very like, this is how we do it. And then the next generation was very permissive.
Right.
And then it was back to being tough.
Yeah, because if something doesn't work, there's going to be a movement back to, that's what happens. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, ultimately, it seems to me that there has to be this yin-yang kind of, you know, in all the discipline, there's a little bit of love, and a little love, there's a little bit of discipline.
It's all about balance. Yeah.
And it's all about balance, but life is completely unbalanced.
Right.
This is one of the things that drive me crazy.
Haven't found out by now.
But right, it's like it's all about balance. I have never been balanced in my entire life. I have never been balanced.
Right, but that's what I like about you. You're happy with it because you're accepted. This is the way. This is life. This is the, you know. It's like this is also. It's, you know, it's really. It's amazing. You know what I'm saying? When you know him. You know
I'm saying it's funny because a lot of the lines we say are things I fight against.
Right.
And not because I have an agenda to fight. I'm just like, stop lying to the people. Like this idea of balance, right? So you'll have a kid who's like needs a lot of discipline. You'll have a kid who needs a lot of, you know, the way it works with myself in my own life is that I'm like a scale, and I'm always like too heavy on one side. When it gets too heavy, you know, I'm being too much of a baby, then I'm like, oh, I got to start heading back in the other direction. Right. And then I always go too far into the other direction. And it's just like always like this. But I don't think at any point it ever balances. You know what I'm saying?
And some of us, I said, are more like juggling, more bigger juggles than other people. Some people are more, you see, some people are like much more, you know. I mean, I like my oldest son's like that. Like I didn't know how such a nutcase artist, you know, ADD, all this like whatever, right brain. I gave birth to someone who's just like, he runs a business. He's like, you know, he's always calm and collect. Most of the time, calm and collect. Maybe sometimes that's why it comes out that way, you know.
Yeah, I want to do the exact opposite.
You know?
Your art.
Yeah.
Your art.
Yeah.
I know we spoke for a while before, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this podcast is going to go on forever because I'm enjoying every topic we talk about. But okay, let me focus it a little bit. Your art, like you said, in art school, it was very sophisticated. I mean, I had a couple of teachers buy art from me. That was like
in
art school.
Yeah. Like I'm looking back, they recognized that I had something very like unique and whatever. It was psychedelic. It was black and white. There was no color.
Really?
It was so detailed.
You still have any of those pieces?
I have a picture on my phone. I have a couple of those pieces, but
Okay, I'm gonna have to get a tour.
there was a lot of stuff that was like sort of, that I was just drawing things that were just either like,
inappropriate.
inappropriate or voted type of things. Just you're drawing weird things.
Right.
And so when I became Baal Tshuva in Morristown, right, I burnt it with my chumetz in the fire. Can you imagine? So, but I have a few things left, and my father, although he was like so freaked out. I went to a very expensive art school, and here I went to end up in yeshiva, and I burnt the artwork.
Oh yeah. I can imagine that was hard.
Like,
wow. Oh, so you part of your process was like, I need to get rid of this. I got to move on. Now you're like, that was ridiculous. That was great.
Yeah,
art.
I mean, listen, because it was really amazing artwork. Just okay, I need things. People should see my name. And people know my name, and I see it on that kind of artwork. So it's a shkacha pratis. I'm not going to go into that, but it happened. But
your art
I just have to tell you that I've gone through like 9 lives. Most early Baal Tshuvas have gone through many lives. Just this is the way it is.
Right.
And my art changed because my art was always really an expression where I was at. So my art changed. I sometimes have it like in my studio, they'll come in and they'll just like, they can't believe there's one artist. They're really different styles.
Really?
Yeah.
So could you look at a time period and be like, oh, that's from that time period, just because would someone be able to actually see that?
Yeah. If I divide it up into years, you could pretty much see it. Yeah.
Like a different.
Yeah.
You have an incredibly unique style that is like, your stuff is identifiable immediately.
Most of the thing that runs through all of those periods is detail, like obsessive detail.
You have obsessive detail.
I'm obsessed with detail. I just always was, and that was my I like what's Shay's Taub's term, drug of choice.
Yeah,
it really was for me. In fact, now it's almost hard for me to do some of that because I'm not getting the same need for that.
Need for detail?
You don't want to call it escapism, but drug of choice. What do you want to call it?
It's feeling goodism. I don't know how to say
yeah,
it.
no, it was. But then at some point, like
an addict is trying to feel all right. When
there was a sort of addiction to it. Like I was like doing these like many ad infinitum hours a day. So
and when you did that, you felt all right.
Yeah, calm me. It did calm me down.
That's the escape. Meaning like that's what I'm trying to say is like the world is all right now. It's going from It's going from this.
Yeah.
It's not all right to it is right. I don't know how it's. The way I was explaining escapism to my nephew was that when you're living an all right life and then something comes your way and you want to avoid it, you want to get away from it. That to me, that's escapism. And that happens. Right. But when you're always feeling like your baseline is like -40 and this takes you to 0,
right? That's
great. I don't know.
Like I was never like in a depressed state when I was doing my art. Like it just wasn't like I might do something that I didn't know where it was going, get frustrated or something like that. So you put it aside. But and also I have my judgments too about this is good, this is bad. And then when you have all kinds of stuff.
Wait, you said something very wild. Yeah. So you're saying now it doesn't seem to do it for you the same way?
I think when I started going like just doing more inner work, because that's just, which is, with meditation, like you want to call it healing or the sensory stuff with the somatic things. You see how it affected me, affects other people. Like I became like very passionate about that. So it's not like I lost my passion doing art, but I don't have the need to like spend. If I had a choice to sit down and paint a picture, or like someone's coming in and wants, I can help them with some inner stuff. I'm more passionate. I can be more passionate about that sometimes. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I'm having something very similar in my life. When I started the helping, I'm seeing a lot of these And then I'm no artist in any level, but in a sense,
there's no way you could be doing what you're doing without being creative. I'm sorry.
Creative, I am. Yes.
Okay, so it's not really different. So maybe
I love painting. Oh my gosh.
So there you go.
I love it, but I don't do anything good. I just love it.
See, I consider yourself more of a right brain person, more creative soul, sensitive soul, that type of thing.
Right brain is the more creative.
More creative.
Okay. Yeah, definitely.
By the way, I do all these kind of things. It's called power of your other hand, where it's great therapy. It's used in therapy. That when your non-dominant hand is actually able to express either in a drawing or even writing out words or something like that, or idea, that for your right hand or your dominant hand is basically it accesses your left brain's. Like,
is all this stuff still true? I thought they debunked all this stuff. Am I wrong?
Oh, I see. I don't.
Okay.
This I
all
think
right,
is okay. Whatever. I'm not a scientist, but I'm not friends with any. Thank God. Anyway, so that was a joke. Anyway, then you have the left. Then you're basically when your left hand is expressing, you're not. It accesses the right. I see it when I utilize this method, if you want to call it.
You're saying it lies. There's a person.
And they use it in inner child work a lot. There's books on it. It's like amazing. Like where you actually dialogue between your inner child and your adult where you're at, and you actually ask, and it's amazing what comes out. And I do it with drawing also and different things.
You draw with the other hand, and it makes.
Not that I do it so much. I just like I have people do it like in my workshops. For instance, if you put like this globe sitting there and you have this little, we call it a still life, like a little thing, and people are going to draw it. And I just draw like with your right hand, and now draw it with your left hand. The same picture, they will not come out the same.
Of course not.
Right? So I'll say sometimes I'll say, okay, I'll just throw out a word like draw a symbol. I don't give them like 30 seconds. Draw a symbol of loving kindness, right? So sometimes people hugging, they'll do a heart or something like that, right? Let's say they'll do a heart. Now I tell them to do it with the hand that's the weaker hand, which is really like the part of you that's like stopped up. It's almost a traumatized part. And now you're giving me it's able to express itself. Like they'll draw the heart, maybe they'll make it bigger or brighter, or even with like some like rays coming out.
Wow. Like
it's like emotion. It's incredible things, and it's actually sometimes I have people do that to get ideas for what they want to express because it's more expressive or that kind of thing.
Okay, so what we're doing wrong is not doing this on the podcast right now. But you know what? We're gonna do. I want to do a special episode where you're doing this.
We could do a bunch of things. We could. I didn't know it. I would have brought it. I would have put some clay. I would have brought more pictures to show. I would do all kinds of things. And music, yeah.
I will. Okay. Well, there is a person I know. His name is Stanley Allen Sherman. I don't know if you ever heard that name. He's an actor, and he's also a professional clown, and also a juggler, and a whole bunch of other things. Fascinating guy. He's a friend of my mother. I'll have him on the podcast at some point. He used to teach people how to read. People with reading problems by teaching them how to juggle, because juggling made you use the part of your brain you don't use. Which means,
there you go.
Because he said the right and the left, you end up having to be able to coordinate
it's there,
part
it's
of your
just
brain.
dormant.
So he said he taught people reading, a whole bunch of other different actual skills that were having a hard time, and taught it to them by juggling. Anyway, I
think that's fascinating.
It's pretty cool.
All this stuff makes sense to me.
Yeah, it's cool.
Like normal things don't make sense, but this kind of stuff totally makes sense. Whatever, all this stuff.
Wait, could I? You have a painting here. Is it possible? And this is completely up to you. If you saying that there's meaning in the painting that you could explain. Could you do that,
yeah,
or
sure.
is that? Sure. But I can get a few. Okay. Let me get a few. I don't know if everybody will be able to see it, but you have to when you talk.
Yeah, it's hard to see the details, but okay, whatever. It's actually, this is something that the Rebbe, the Lubavitch Rebbe told me. So, his input. It's very hard. There's such fine details. It's hard to see, but I'll just explain. This is called. It's very interesting, actually. This is a very whimsical piece of art, and I had a whole number of years. I did very whimsical things, which it's called The Village of the Muchniks. I have stories. I never published them. That's another whole thing.
Wait, hold on 1 second. If you are on Spotify, go to YouTube for this particular thing. Otherwise, you'll have no idea what we're talking about.
So these Muchniks, they're like Jewish Lilliputians. You know what Lilliputians are? Gulliver's Travel.
Yeah.
They were like
That's
miniature.
how you pronounced it?
You know these miniature.
Yeah. I never knew how to pronounce it.
What?
Lilliputians. They're from
Gulliver's Travels.
Gulliver's Travels, the little guys.
Yeah. So I made a Jewish version, but I mean it's my own thing. So anyhow, it's this whole village scene, and it's like has all this Judaic stuff going, like tons of things in there. I mean, really, like factories and this and that, and underground mystic Muchniks and a tree house with a shul and all that kind of thing. So whatever, it's a long story, but the Rebbe told me I should print my art. In other words, I should get out to more people. I was like a perfectionist making originals. So this was the first lithograph I made. If you want to call lithograph, it's a whole other thing, but it's a fine art thing and how it's made. Anyhow, so there was a lot of stuff in here, and I sent one in to the Rebbe, and I got an answer, a haros from the Rebbe, that he notices in the bottom left-hand corner, amongst other things, there's a hospitality hotel and a free loan fund. So the Rebbe said these are these are things of Gemilas Chasodim, which means like deeds of loving kindness. So in the Ethics of the Father says the world has 3 pillars, found on 3 pillars: Torah, Avoda, prayer, and Gemilas Chasodim are deeds of loving kindness. So the Rebbe said, I guess Alpi Kabbalah or Alpi Chassidus, I have to look it up what the Rebbe said, that's on the right side. In Torah, like it's always called, the right side is the kindness. So therefore, it should be on the right side, the picture, things that have to do with that, not the left side. And then they're davening up here in a shul, and that's prayer, tefillah. So that's avoda. That's working at battling your whatever. Should be on the left. That's left, like severity, gevura. That should be on the left side of the picture, not the right. And then and learning anything to do with learning Torah, whatever, should be in the middle. So and in the future, after that, I would put those different symbols of those things in the right part of the picture. But it's really fascinating.
It's really fascinating.
Yeah.
He looked at this painting and said that.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I came out in writing. I had different things that from different pictures like that.
Yeah, it's helping.
But what's fascinating is I don't think before there was much of this. Most Judaic art was just pictures of, let's say, rabbis learning, Chassidim dancing, that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I just got this chop to take, by the use of the parable, right? Take an idea of Chassidus and actually portray it through a parable.
It's just,
I had to learn all these things because it wasn't so simple, I thought graven images, you can't draw people, all these kind of things. Then you find out, you have to know what's going on really with all that stuff.
Yeah, I've met other Baalei Tshuva that have wanted to stop their music, stop their art, because they felt like it was connected to the other side.
Right.
And most of the time, they got the advice to continue in a healthier way.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I know Matisiao talks about this. And he didn't know if he was going to be a singer when he became religious.
All stuff.
It was I could tell you for myself, because just as an outsider, and I love art, but I just love it as a consumer. I don't know how to analyze it. Although I do love going to a museum and just staring at a painting for a really long time, although I haven't done it in a while. I don't know why. I feel like COVID just ended me going to Manhattan. I'm never going back.
What? I don't know when the last time I went to Manhattan either.
It's just the worst. You just don't want to go there. It's done.
Also, you know what? We used to have to go to the museums to get some visual stimulation. Now you just look on your phone. You can get it's overstimulating. I mean, with visual things, you can look at any painting. You can do everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say I feel a little underqualified to say what I'm about to say, but I'm a consumer of your art, so I could say that. One of the things that I love in life. Well, let's start with the negative, because everybody likes to start with the positive. One of the things I hate in life is sorry. What's with the positive? Get rid of that.
No, I like where this is going.
Yeah. One of the things I absolutely
means it's going to be a good ending.
Yeah, hopefully there'll be a good
Starts out crappy.
No, one of the things I hate is when someone's trying to convince me they're smart. Like they're trying to convince me, and therefore they're like super sophisticated about everything. And I appreciate smart people. I don't have an issue with smart people, but there are other people in this world, and so Norm Macdonald, my favorite comedian, he was very, very smart, and his whole thing was about like acting like the dumb guy. I love that. That was what I loved. But when I was in graduate school and college, I had a rule that if I didn't know 3 of the words in the first 2 sentences, I just put the essay down. I'm like, this pompous crap is garbage. I just missed that essay. Whatever it was, I just missed. I'm like, I'm not interested in you showing off how smart you are. Thank you. Come sauce.
I love this.
So I literally can't say it because it's like you're trying to put yourself on some sort of pedestal above me, and you're taking yourself away from me, and I don't relate to that. I'm not connected to that.
Right.
What I do love is someone like a Mark Twain, who's a brilliant person, and he writes like a children's book. He writes like the stuff you could get from a Huckleberry Finn or a Tom Sawyer or any of his like amazing limericks type of stuff, He took genius and brought it down to the people. Rashi does that. Like there are certain people that like are able to like talk to every person at every level. And we know they're geniuses because of what they know and because of how well they know it and how they can dissect it. But it's not because they shoved it in our face. Anyway, me saying I feel that way about your art. When I look at your art, it's whimsical and it's got this feeling that I just want to sit with it and enjoy it.
That was a period, but
no, even like this one, it feels.
No, that's an old piece.
Period. A lot of your stuff. I saw a piece that you had in the Brooklyn Jewish Museum. It's like a really massive piece.
That's huge.
It's huge. Yeah. It still had your style of I'm putting an enormous amount of stuff in a very digestible painting. Right. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not that it's dumbed down. It's just digestible.
Keep going. I like this.
I'm giving you a great compliment.
I'm taking it that way.
Okay.
And it's humbling me. It's very. I really am. I in a way I have never heard something said so nice about my art. In a way.
Okay.
No, I mean because it's like. No, go. I didn't mean to stop.
I don't know if that was your intention. I don't know if that's just the way you are. But that is my feeling as an outsider. I feel like I could climb into your painting and like walk down the roads and like, oh, look at that. And there's that. And maybe I could spend a day on one part of this little village. Like even in this one, like figuring out what's going on here.
Beautiful.
And I feel like there's a lot of depth to it. Even that idea, the Rebbe is saying like it should be on the right side, left side, and that means in the future paintings.
Yeah, it wasn't like saying the painting's messed up. The Rebbe was saying you can utilize your art to really teach and bring down like deep ideas in Chassidus and even talk about it because it's all talked about the right, the left. Like it gives an opportunity to like teach.
Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting because when you talk to, it's interesting that society has artists, musicians. Like it doesn't seem practical. It's almost like
what doesn't seem practical.
Meaning, if I was a robot creating society, I'd be like, "This is how you do it. This is history. This is how you. This is science. This is like this is how you do it.
Right.
Go do life.
Right."
art is some way, it like almost makes it messier. Like it's like all of a sudden there's. So I always wonder,
you mean because there's like infinite amount of possibilities, like that kind of thing.
It's also like.
Well, it's very interesting what you're saying. Go ahead.
It's
finish your thought.
Yeah, the thought is that like, what is the purpose of art? What does it bring to a society? If I could, there have been societies that were like no art, and they just like we don't know much about them because they have no art left. But they exist. The funny thing is,
because that worked well for them.
It didn't work out. Like they're like interesting. The Spartans. This is fascinating. The Spartans, their thing is that they were a warrior society, and their thing was don't write anything because everything was top secret. They had their rules. They didn't want anybody else to know their fighting rules, and it was all about that. So they didn't write anything. So we know nothing about the Spartans. Whenever they talk about the Spartans, it's like very, very minimal. They didn't have writing. They didn't have art.
That's funny.
Anyway, it is interesting because that's how we study societies. But like, I guess it's a very broad question. It's like, what's
the purpose
of art? Because you were talking about like I could teach people, but what's the purpose of art in Jewish society or society?
Well, this question is like an existential question in general. Like, what's our purpose? So if you're doing something, what's the purpose in it, right? So like, again, so much of the way I look at things is things that the Rebbe said, or the Rebbe actually sometimes waited for someone to like actually do something, and the Rebbe would say, this is what's happening. The Rebbe didn't just dictate. The Rebbe like let us come to certain things. A lot of things that happened in Lubavitch were not that the Rebbe came and sat down and said, do this. Someone did it, and the Rebbe like right away started speaking about it. It's very interesting. I think that's a whole huge, amazing way of being, of educating children. Sometimes they have to be so much seen that when they're doing something that comes from them, that's good, and to go there, encouraging it and bring it out. But in the end, it leaves them feeling like they.
It's so fascinating.
Do you hear what I'm saying?
I never thought about this.
It's real. I'm just thinking about it now. But it's really fascinating.
No, but I'll tell you something interesting because there's Fortune 500 companies, a lot of the newer ones. Mm-hmm. They have, I think it was Google. Google has 10% of your time has to be spent on a project that is completely yours, and it has nothing.
Oh, great! That's fantastic.
It has nothing to do with. It's not part of what you do.
Right.
It's 10% or 20%, I don't know. And it's ours. It's ours.
Right.
We own it.
Right.
But
wow.
Many, I've looked this up a while ago, but many of their biggest money makers came from those people just being super creative and coming up with something
I believe
new.
that.
It's interesting. This is like the Rebbe's idea.
Yeah, it's like
come up with the ideas. Some of them are going to be the best ideas
said
ever.
something about doing things in a novel way. Just think about that. It's just amazing. And what I was just talking about, they didn't come to me and say, take an idea of Chassidus and put it in a parable. Like, I even thought maybe I shouldn't be doing this, right? And they're both just hopped it right away. And when you think about many of the things, I realized that the Rebbe actually was just always ahead. It's not like it was a surprise to the Rebbe. Maybe it's just, the Rebbe, I think, had patience also to wait to someone hops it. God waited for how many generations to Avraham got, think about that. Why did this have to be like that? You know how many generations?
Till Avram?
Till Avram,
20.
Recognize, whatever it is.
Oh.
I'm just thinking about God's patience.
Right.
Like the Rebbe's patience, that kind of thing. Or so you wouldn't be able to do what you do if you didn't have certain kind of patience with who you're dealing with, right? No, I don't know how we got in this discussion, but it's really, it's very interesting.
Well, I do have a question.
But anyway, we're back to the, go.
No, we're going, this is the weave. We'll get there. We'll get back. I am curious because there's something weird going on with me and Chabad. Something very odd. I was mentioning to you before.
What,
First of all,
just now or always?
no, in general.
Yeah.
In general, it's like in my podcast, I'm finding like, I don't know, it almost feels like a Chabad podcast at this point. Like there's so many people in Chabad.
Okay, I don't find that weird. I find that like,
it's awesome because a lot of Chabad people are just awesome.
makes sense to me. It's just
but Chabad, my life has been like bumping into Chabad forever. Right. And I saw the Rebbe one time. That was as a teenager. I was there, I think Hanukkah. It's possible Hanukkah, and he had his stroke. But that was, I meet the newer shluchim, and they never met the Rebbe. And they never have this connection with the Rebbe. And I'm really like, how are they getting this?
Okay, so I can stop you right there.
All right.
From my experience and having my own kids, and all this kind of stuff.
Sure.
And just I deal with. I'm connecting all the time. I'm just a connector. I love connecting to people. I go right in. They have seen the Rebbe. You don't have to see the Rebbe walking into the shul, and doing this. You can see on the video, and it's the message behind the whole thing. What's the Rebbe saying? So, and in some ways, some of us were there was people who were just like, watch everything the Rebbe doing. But the ones who got up and actually went and listened to what the Rebbe said, and the Rebbe said, leave me a minyan, go out and be Makar of the world. And then some got up and went to, California, and there was no minyan, no nothing, no kosher food, and started the ball rolling with Shlichus, right?
Right.
So, that's like these guys. They actually see the Rebbe by learning his Torah, the Chassidus and all that kind of stuff, and his the explanations from everything. And so I used to sit in Farbrengen for 30 years, and I'm very visual, but my hearing is like, I can't, I've learned to be a good listener when it comes to like people's issues, but languages, everything like that, terrible. So I didn't understand Yiddish. They used to have simultaneous translation during the weekday Farbrengens, but on Shabbos, Yom Tov, I would sit there like a bump on the log, just taking in the atmosphere for hours, not understanding anything. Afterwards, there would be people who would translate, and you go with it for the English-speaking people. But now you will see they have videos of the Farbrengen with subtitles in English, and it's up close, and you can see the Rebbe's expressions. And sometimes I'm listening to them, and I'm just saying, "Oh my God, that's what the Rebbe was saying!" Like like this kind of thing. So I'm like actually getting more out of certain things now than then, even with all the stuff. And I talk to young people. A young person says, "Oh, well, you were there, and I wasn't there. You can't expect." It's baloney. It's like this, and I explain these things. Come on, just listen to what the Rebbe was saying. They wouldn't go say, what? And we studied the Torah of Moshe Rabbeinu. We studied the Tanya from the Alter Rebbe. So, okay, I didn't sit in that tish either.
No, I guess.
You hear what I'm saying?
But I was, the way he was able to actually encourage different ideas. Right. I mean, there's a lot. I guess I was asking if the innovation stops after he died. I mean, like it's, because it
Have you seen anything stop? I've only seen it grow.
No, it's definitely grown.
And what you're saying, what you give a Chabad, the Rebbe was not really. The Rebbe was the Rebbe for every. When he used to put out letters like for the holiday or something, it was to Jewish people, every man, woman, child, everywhere. The Rebbe would write that literally.
Right.
And you saw how people came to the Rebbe who were not Chabad. There were so many things come out now that like people in the higher echelons of Israeli military and everything, they always came and listened to what the Rebbe said. They didn't always listen, obviously. Right. We see, unfortunately, that if they had listened, there would be a lot less issues. It's been proven over and over again. But they would come, they would do this pretty quietly, and then you see stories, and then some of these older guys who are like these young, they talk about it. I'm just going just that alone. But
did you have a personal relationship with the Rebbe?
First of all, I don't know what that means, personal relationship. People let's look at this straight. It's like if you were today going into to be alone in the room with the Rebbe for a Yechidus, we called it, it was like, you were obviously, the Rebbes had more sometimes, some people were I guess, more calm or whatever, or they didn't know people from outside. Maybe the Rebbe could speak, but for your average Lubavitch or Chassid, it was just like, you just became sort of nullified in a way, like, you know what I'm saying? So the Rebbe spoke to me, and he was very calm and everything, and I got calmed down because I was scared to death to go in. I went in 3 times. Mm-hmm. First time I was only 21 years old. I was in my first year of the yeshiva, and about 8 of us, we went in individually, but 8 of us, we had birthday. It used to go as students, you could go in after your birthday, when the next time the Rebbe would have Yechidus. And that was like an 8 minutes long Yechidus. The Rebbe sometimes spent an hour and a half with people, but generally speaking, like the secretaries didn't like, a minute and a half, you know what I mean? There was time, everything was in the middle, late at like 1 o'clock in the morning. Was whatever. But then the second, and that was the, I brought in art, and that's a whole nother thing what went on over there. It's for another time. But I will tell you that and I'm now kind of horror, but looking back on it, clearly the Rebbe foresaw things. The Rebbe even told me that people will take advantage of me.
Right.
How the blue the Rebbe said that in Yechidus. I had no idea what the Rebbe meant. I just know it was one thing. There was other things going on, but just like I could feel like the Rebbe was trying to figure out how to help me that I shouldn't get taken advantage of.
Right.
And the Rebbe talked about getting managers. They don't just sign the bottom line so easily. Whatever. I understood it with business, but not just business, other things too. Artists, whatever.
That's gonna be a clip.
Artists, back to that. What I was making, it's like people say about artists. It's like, things. Sometimes I walk in and like. I said, oh, you know what? I didn't have a chance to chat. I'm wearing a hat. I don't usually wear this. It's okay, you're an artist. I get this all the time. It's okay, you're an artist. Like what? What does that mean?
You get a pass.
Like what?
Why are you arguing about that?
Like you're not acting normal. Like you laugh at at the wrong point of the joke. It's okay. You're an artist.
That's funny. You get a pass. Okay, I will tell you that I'm still on the first question that I asked. That was a long weave.
Yeah,
I've been enjoying your weave, so I'm gonna just bring you back. I have. I'm seeing the ADHD in you. It's
yeah, you gotta. I've learned to accept
I'm
that.
being
That's
misfoiled.
what I do. I weave all day long. It's like.
Okay, the question was
the purpose of art.
You were about to get existential with us about the purpose of art.
So So then I started with the Rebbe, and I've come back again. It's like a Rebbe's teaching that he actually sent one of the artists who I visited. He was an old Russian artist. They called him Vetter Handel, Uncle Handel. You heard of Mendel Futterfass, the famous Chassid. Okay,
sure.
So this was his brother.
This guy's book.
His name was Lieberman.
Mendy Bistritsky. Thank you, Mendy.
Yeah, amazing.
He has a podcast also.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, sorry. He sent me the book.
He's one of the big mashpiyim, and one of the biggest mashpiyim, like street smart teachers, I guess you want to call it, whatever it is, in Lubavitch. He was in prison many years. He was not a very learned person in the books, by the way.
Right.
But his wisdom was just... Anyway, so...
I call it folk wisdom. He had folk wisdom.
Love it. Okay, you're good with these things. So anyway, so...
Okay,
so
Mendel.
his brother was Handel Lieberman, the artist. When I came to Lubavitch,
Mendel's brother was Handel.
Mendel's brother was Handel. One of his brothers was Handel Lieberman.
And he was
the reason he had the last different names because he had to change his name to get out of Russia because the name Futterfass was very very iffy, right?
Right.
And he lost, I think, his wife and a couple kids in a pogrom. And he never remarried. It was like real stuff. And he was very depressed and he had problems with this Yiddishkeit and stuff. And he ended up coming, I think it was the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, the Friedrich Rebbe, that he brought him back into, he got him He said, "It's enough with the being on the fence. Come back with us." And he was like, and he was the most happy. His paintings are happy, and I was really taken by that stuff when I first came. How did I get into this conversation? Doesn't matter, but this is interesting. So
you explained the existential reason for art.
So he had an exhibition of his art in Philadelphia, one of the first Chassidic art exhibitions in America, right? And the Rebbe wrote a little letter to the exhibition, so to speak, or to Chabad. I think it was Chabad or the shul, whatever there. And basically, the Rebbe said that when you that an artist has the ability of taking something physical and turning it into spiritual. Now, it may seem like a simple thing to think of, but if you think about it, and the Rebbe writes there, he takes paint, canvas, physical things, but what do you end up with? You end up with a painting that's saying something. Really think about it. It's made up of physical things. You've turned it. It's a very actually clear example of taking something physical and turning it into something spiritual. You're feeling something. You look at the painting. It's a painting of something,
right?
But it's only made up of physical things. Like in a way, it's sort of like miraculous. Like if you think about it, it's not just a stum like that. Anyway,
I feel the same way about books. That's similar.
Yeah, because it comes off what's going on behind
just words.
It. Right. It's just right.
Just painting.
You can meditate on this type of stuff and then think. I mean, a lot of Chassidus has to do with all this stuff because that's why Hashem make physical to begin. Why do you want a physical? Or why do you want to have it? Why do you want to be down here? And this whole somatic thing, I think, is blowing up because it's all about the physical messaging you and elevating it. And it's saying something. You hear what I'm saying? And this is what I'm putting in with these. That's what I'm trying to also.
You're sticking somatic. Okay.
But anyway, that I'm just because we go into tangents here.
I don't mind the tangent, but I don't understand it. I will say that the somatic. Okay. You have to explain that again. Sorry. You can let it go if you want.
No. Why?
But I am curious.
Why not? It's really. This is very.
Why is
this is very validating? Sitting with someone who's as ADHD as I am, that we can both together go on these trips and all over the place.
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel sorry for your listeners.
Sorry, guys.
That's their problem right now. We're really not thinking about you right now, right? Anyways, but let me get back to this thing. Let me finish what the Rebbe said, okay?
Okay.
And he said, whether it's still life is like when you take inanimate objects, like a vase, and you draw it, right? You're also drawing something. So then or a higher level would be like you're drawing something with animal life. That's a higher level of existence, there's more,
right.
Or plant life and animal life. Everyone went through these things, and it's all from Chassidus, beautiful. And then and how much more so if there's people in these pictures, right? And these people are like doing something which is involved in the study of Torah or doing mitzvahs, basically Judaic picture, whatever.
Right.
So when it's that, it's elevating art to its highest level. You, in other words, have elevated the whole concept of art or taking this physical and making it the most spiritual.
Art itself is turning physical to spiritual. And when you are making spiritual art, it spiritualizes the spiritual.
Well, or making it like a good spiritual, it's holy spiritual, where you have spirituals. Witchcraft is also spiritual. Okay, if you draw paintings of Avodah Zorah or not Tznius,
that's how I describe addiction.
Yeah,
I consider it spiritual.
No, it is.
Yes, it's connecting to something way greater than yourself.
Misplaced spirituality, and a lot of it's innocence in these days. But
okay, so you're getting down to
so you're talking
what
about
the Rebbe said that the art is turning physical to spiritual and spiritual to even more spiritual when you make it spiritual art.
If it's expressing something about. I always said, I remember I was written up, articles, things like that in my early days. And one of the articles was called Michoel Muchnik, The Antithesis of Asher Lev. Now, Asher Lev was this,
I know
the, was
Asher
the
Lev.
book was My Name is Asher Lev.
Oh, first of all, Chaim Potok, it's on my top books, even though there's a lot of apicurses.
Well, that's the thing. So that whatever, but okay.
You're not the antithesis because you did not
Okay.
grow up in a Rebbe's house.
Whatever. No. I'm just no.
Yeah.
It had to do with the fact that that book, Asher Lev, was this from guy who felt like he was stifled because he was from, and so he became an artist.
Right.
I was an artist doing all that stuff, and I became from, and it didn't stifle me.
Oh, so you're saying
So it's like that was why it was,
Right.
and there was a whole article about this.
interesting.
How do we get into that?
I don't know, but I'm still answering what the purpose of art is.
Oh. No, so
I mean, I'm going to guess from what
basically,
you're
I
saying
took from
it's to
there
spread
that
the
basically,
light.
if your art is teaching or has to do with Torah mitzvahs and people are learning, it's it's in a sense, it's like opening it, like you learn from Torah or any commentators on Torah. It has a higher purpose. It's not just where even the Rambam writes about that there's a beautiful purpose of art, that it's just for decorative purposes in your home, just that it should be more beautiful and you're relaxed in your home so you're able to study better.
Right.
But it all has to do with somehow about study of Torah, learning myths, whatever. It's all because all that includes everything. So that.
So
But there's also, like you say, it's just art therapy. If someone's doing something that has to do with it's helping with an emotional thing, then you're using anything that being used, and then it's very elevating, right?
right. If you're using it for healing, it's also elevated.
Right. So that's like I said, I got and started getting into that too.
So what got you into this, to getting into this healing stuff? Like, this is a brand new chapter in your life. Can I just say one more thing before?
Yeah.
I can. It's my
Yeah.
podcast. Sorry.
Yeah.
Why am I asking you? I got to work on that. All right, we'll work on for the next podcast. We'll get on a good therapist. Okay, I want to say,
I don't know about you. I feel like we're sitting here in some really cool bubble. I don't know how to express it. Like I don't know, like
that's how it's supposed to feel.
like a psychedelic trip. But anyhow,
It's a psychedelic trip.
No, we're like in our own. It's neat. Yeah, good.
I don't know you that well. I just met you today, but I when you mentioned before, like you're like heading into a new and exciting experience in your life.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I really hope that I get that type of feel when I hit your age. I'm not yet at your age. I mean, part of me thinks I'll just be completely washed out and done, but hopefully that won't be true. I love it, but what's with this like a new chapter in your life, which is talking about the healing? Like, is this something that prompted that, or it's just happening kind of organically, or what's?
No, it was. I mean, whatever. I'm not going into details about it, but I went through a divorce after 30 years. My kids are grown up and that stuff. And that, whatever. I felt the need to just go deeper. Like whatever.
So I'm saying you went deeper for yourself.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
That
Like
prompted you to
I felt
also
that
want to
there was
spread
just
that.
stuff that was not, for me, was just not really maybe dealt with or worked out. And I just wanted to go there. And I did.
Right. Which is awesome. I guess I'm asking the following question, which is the follow-up to that is, but then you've decided to kind of spread that to others. So what prompted you? I mean, I understand the idea of working on our own stuff, but not everybody goes to therapy.
No, because I
went
went to like a healing workshop, you want to call it like that, and experienced, holotropic breath work. I experienced, inner child work. I experienced these things, and then you see them also being facilitated for other people, and you hear their stories because everybody's in a closed container and everybody's sharing all this stuff, and which has its own amazing effect and healing right then and there, because you just realize, you're not the only one dealing like with this, and then people that are doing much worse stuff that you never even dreamt of, this kind of stuff. And you're just so, and just the way of connection. And then I did more of that, or I was even asked to come as staff, and then the different things, and once you're in that sort of zone, about that. You sort of, and when you feel that it's like a calling. You feel like you have a certain empathy. No, there's many people who have this empathy, but then they don't want to go help other people or deal with their stuff. But I don't know. Can you explain why you're involved in what you're involved in? Really, I'm not really an explanation for it.
It's getting harder and harder for me to explain it.
It's something. No, it's almost like you just feel like this is meant to, like if I'm at this point, there's sort of like I'm meant to do this, or it's like a God thing, like it's like a mission thing. I don't even know how to explain it. Maybe it's all of these things. It's just I don't think about it that much because I just and actually doing it when it happens. I just feel like it's meant to happen, like I don't know.
The interesting thing is when you were talking about the art, right? And I'm listening to your story. I read your books as a kid, and I'm looking at your art over the years. It strikes me that you're a teacher. I don't know, that's never been your profession. But when you explain your reasoning for art, it's not how I would describe art. It was, yes, some of it I definitely would talk about the physical and the spiritual. Like I get that idea. But the idea that it's supposed to leave you knowing more than before is sounds like a teaching.
You're 100% correct, by the way. So, I do feel that way on mostly. And I will tell you that I think that didn't happen until I became Baal Tshuva.
Really?
Because I think that I found like, oh, now I have this and I want to share this.
Right.
I'm not saying it never happened before, but
with
my art, it wasn't so much about my art. With my art, like it was more like, I think maybe I was trying to figure out myself.
Right.
Or it was just, I wanted to show that I make this incredible art. There was like ego too, a lot of ego in it, that kind of thing.
Because some of the art that I love the most I've ever seen in my life, I can't say it teaches me anything. It just gives me an experience that I've never had before.
Right. Well, yeah.
Your art, the way you're describing
that was always there. I was always trying to do something different, new, always like that.
Right.
Something that.
So what I'm saying is that when it's funny because I'm asking you this question and you're almost like that's a weird question. When you get filled with all this love and knowledge and healing, don't you just want to spread it? That's kind of what you're saying to me. And I'm like, no, most people don't. Most people go to therapy, they come home and they're fine. They do their stuff. I guess what I'm pointing out is that, right. Yeah, no, it sounds like you're a teacher.
Oh no, when you said that actually, did you ever see, sometimes they have these things where you make a mission statement. A lot of these self-help books, stuff like that.
Yeah.
You make like a mission statement.
Yeah. You ever do that?
Yeah, but I'm just like, this is just, it's so interesting. I'm sure that somewhere along the line, I must have said that, I want to teach. I have said that many times. I want to teach through my art. No question about it.
Right. I feel like that's what you're doing with the healing now. Being it like something entered you.
That's why I'm so frustrated, because I feel like I found something in this. This is a little unique with this whole thing with the art and calling it somatic art and everything like that. And again, with all this stuff, you have some people come who have amazing things go on, and other people it's like, I could have done without the meditation.
Right.
It's just not up for that, or they didn't know what it was. There's going to be that. I've had some older ladies come. They think it's like a class to learn how to draw, even though I write that we're doing meditation, but. That kind of stuff. And I've had others sitting there, I've had where they're just, they say they never reached a certain point in their inner, thing that they just never, like an inner child, like a purity, like it felt like I try to get people back into their purest place. I do things, very cool stuff.
I think we very much underestimate the power and the benefit of our defense mechanisms. And I think that there's a lot of us
elaborate.
I will, believe me, because I just said that defense mechanisms are awesome. That's basically, I do believe
I think they suck.
I think they're fantastic.
No. I'm just saying that
I know.
at first react because that probably also was defense mechanism.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I just realized that.
Everything's that's a loop you're never going to get out of. But a lot of the traditional addiction work that I've been taught was strip the defenses down. Right. You're in denial, strip it down. Right. But every single day we're using denial for good. If we just imagine our parents are going to die every day, we never be able to function. And people we love are going to die. Right. It's true. Right. But we deny it. It's called normative denial. It's good. It's important.
Yeah. Sometimes what I'm saying is anything can come in for. It can be used for this or used for that.
What I'm saying is like when we were talking about like killing the baby before, right? We're going back to killing the baby.
Right.
Maybe that should be another book of mine, Killing the Baby. So you illustrate it?
I'm thinking you want me to illustrate the cover?
Kill the baby.
That doesn't look like my style so much, but we can work it out some.
Okay. There's so much that we're doing to preserve our baby. Like our defenses are like they're gathering
to
around.
make you feel safe, basically.
They're gathering around to make us feel safe,
Which is
and to negotiate between the adult and the child. And it's like the referee, and it needs to be there. Right. And I find it really interesting because we have these ways of like opening ourselves up, and some people, their defense is like, no, this is not the time or the place for this to go in.
Right.
And it's really quite frustrating because sometimes I'll deal with someone and I'll deal with them for a year, nothing, just nothing getting in. And then one day it just opens.
Right.
And it just opens. So what you're experiencing, that frustration, is the defenses are saying, I had a Rabbi Price, who was like, my Rebbe, like the closest I ever had. I mean, not the closest. He was my Rebbe, and he passed away, but it's been a bunch of years. But he used to say the Dvar Torah that we say that we should put Hashem al levavcha on your heart, and he said because we have no control about getting into our heart, we put it on our heart. So when our heart opens, when our heart breaks and opens, it's there. It just falls right in.
That's really beautiful.
It was such a beautiful.
That's
idea.
really, really beautiful.
So that gives me a lot of strength when I work with people. I'm just putting it on their heart. So a lot of the work, like you're saying, is like some people like walk in and they're like, oh, no, I'm just here for art class. Let's put it on your heart.
Right.
And how many times has it happened to us? And we're like walking around, all of a sudden something we heard a month ago or 2 years ago just sucks right in.
Right.
Anyway, it's just an amazing concept.
And also, you know what? Because you were there, or you were holding space for the person, when that point comes, and maybe they're on the other side of the planet, you may get a call. They come. They know where. They you know what I'm saying? Yeah. They'll reconnect, and you have that sometimes. You have that with kids, your own kids. You're waiting. Some things you feel aren't going the way you would like it to go for the kid, whatever it is, And then if you're there and you put your hand on the heart, you're there. You love them, and you know this from your work. So I'm saying the same thing with and then they get a little older, and then you can tell the way they talk to you, the way they think, the way they open up, the way that you're able to talk about something.
Yeah,
it's where you're. It was what I was also talking about with the Rebbe about waiting until someone comes to that point, and then he's there for you. You go, Hashem, when you they say like you put in your if you expected now, expected this, expected then you have a problem. But if you do what you're doing,
Yeah, I actually sometimes feel bad for my wife. because I'm very hard to give things to. Like they always talk, Hanukkah comes, somebody's like, "What do you get?" Because I don't want anything. I want books. I like books, but then I buy all the books I want. So that's the thing. So I'm hard to buy for or give anything to. And I have these walls, and it's really hard to give to me.
Right.
And I sometimes feel like the most incredible thing about my wife is she didn't give up. Like she just kept putting it on my heart. And every once in a while, I'm like, I have this whoosh of like gratitude that's like,
beautiful.
Thank you for not giving up and just allowing, just keep going.
Right.
But I feel like
also people have trouble times learning how to receive.
Oh no, I'm terrible at it. Yeah. But it gives me.
You're actually giving the other person when you receive from them. They want to give. You're actually giving to the other person when they receive.
know. I've heard that word a lot. I'm just like, that's stupid.
Cliche.
Whatever. No, I'm kidding. I'm like, I even say it to people. No, I'm just kidding. It's not stupid. That's my defense mechanisms. They're saying that's stupid.
I hear now.
No, it's very, very, very hard for me. When you get down to the core of me, I believe that I am convincing everybody to love me. So if you really want to get down to how sick I am, but I'm spending my life. I'm just really good.
Okay, let's not even go there. Let's just not even go there.
Is that
I'm not trying to stop you. Just forget it. I mean, I used to think, I'm doing all these nice paintings. Everybody says, oh, yeah. Like, well, I feel like can't I just paint a murder scene for once? And you know what I'm saying? Like, have to be so,
Why not?
I don't feel like it. I just don't feel like doing it.
I guess it's interesting to me. Do you? I think if I was an artist, I would get to a place of frustration with always teaching. So maybe that's what I was.
No, don't think of it like that. It's not really like that.
It's not always teaching. I understand.
It's not really. I'm always teaching that some things. Sometimes I just want to make a beautiful picture of something and just to show the beauty. Let's say I'll do some make a beautiful mosaic, a mezuzah case or something with some pictures of all kinds of Judaic, and it's just taking the average mezuzah idea out of it, of a religious object, into just something more beautiful and spiritual. Just to, you know what I'm saying? It's not like I'm trying to necessarily teach an idea from Torah. I would say it's half and half.
Yeah. Yeah, I think of I don't know if it's still true, but Van Gogh has always been probably my favorite artist. Mm-hmm. And I think it just came from insanity. It was just coming from.
He wasn't always insane.
I don't think he was always insane, but
if I'm I can tell you from an artist's point of view, being an artist and not selling anything, which he didn't, and he was also like that in that movement of impressionism. It just wasn't necessarily accepted at the time. Oh, that can make you, that can push you over the edge.
Yeah,
I think he sold one painting in his life. I mean,
you think it was only one?
I think it was an uncle or something. He didn't sell anything.
Yeah, it was a tough time period. But I feel like
just think about that. We're not talking about somebody has a job, it's not working out so well, so whatever. So he has to change job. I mean, we're talking about this whole thing. This pronunciation. I mean, what's
also he was in essence a beggar. I mean, his brother was taking
because
care of
he had
him.
no money.
He had nothing, and this was a genius. But ignoring all that,
right.
and all the insanity, and maybe it made him insane, and I could get that. When I look at it, I feel like he's like, here's my heart. This is what I feel. And it's like, it's like thrown on the paint. Sometimes it's so much paint. He puts so much layers, and it's just like thrown on. I feel like
in his latter work when he was going, it's very painful. Look, I agree, but his stuff before, it's interesting. You see it as pain.
No. I'm not saying pain. His heart, everything. There's a lot of beauty and there's a lot of awe, but it's not things. Obviously, this is impressionism on its level, but I look at it
It's
and
less
I'm like,
what he's painting and more
I'm
about
feeling something,
yeah.
and I feel like I'm feeling what he's feeling. That's what I
right.
feel.
Oh,
And I think that is almost like, like I try to explain to people why I do the podcast. And I'm like, what's more spiritual than two people sitting in a bubble, exchanging ideas and talking and connecting? Like two people connecting. It's from Les Miserables. You ever watch Les Miserables or read it?
Well, I know the story.
To love another person is to see the face of God. Like to me, this is about as spiritual as I get. Sitting and having just a deep,
Why does it have to take a
conversation.
podcast?
Nobody could put their phones down. No, that's not true. I have
no. It's frustrating, but it's the truth is that one reason I think I like podcasts is I actually get to really do this. You can tell from both of us, I would think, that we just need, it's like desire to just keep talking, and to do these things like, so do you realize from this how much sort of you're holding inside that you really want to get out there?
Yeah.
I
mean, most of my interactions are I'm the helper. And that's my role.
Right.
And I do have very, very deep interactions, and I do consider them spiritual. On the podcast, I'm not. I'm neither the helper nor the taker. It's a conversation.
That's I hear exactly what you're saying. Go ahead.
But a podcast is also a way to get everybody you want to talk to. So like,
I
may want to have a conversation with you.
Yeah,
I'll find you. Well, talk for 5 minutes.
I noticed about podcasts. A lot of people want to start podcasts. It's not an easy thing to get going. But you're not the only one who would like to be a podcaster,
right?
So I'm sure you're grateful that you're in this situation, because it's really special that you can just have whoever you really want to have a whole to do for bringing with, just have on your podcast.
To Farbring. Okay, so
by the way, that's what a Farbringen is.
What is a Farbringen?
I mean, it's all about improving yourself, but it is. Everything else doesn't count. It's just like being with people and just sharing. Not a class. Not a Torah class. Not a shiur.
I've never been to an actual Farbringen in my whole life.
Oh, really? Oh.
In my whole life. I've never.
Oh, okay. I have to get you to one.
You've got to get me to a Farbringen.
But then there's also that some Farbringens have been, they're not really what they're supposed to be either. They end up being parties. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's not a bowling party. So, but I'm talking about like a real Farbringen, and if somebody's running it, is like, like a YY Jacobson or something like that.
Is there a structure that a Farbringen is supposed to take?
In a way, yes. In a way, absolutely not.
Okay.
There's a lot of spontaneous.
Where's the Farbringen
depends who's sitting there and what people's issues are and everything like that. The old Chassidic Farbringens were like, it wasn't about eating. They'd have one little thing of schnapps and a little thing, and they didn't eat. It was more like, I'm talking about my own battle, my own spiritual growth, whatever, like that. And if you want to listen, it was some, in a way, it was like that. But it was for everybody to just like it's really it's very deep. It's like on every level, support group, therapy. It's all that stuff. It's just when there were smaller communities and stuff like that, it was just wow. And when the Rebbe was called his a Farbringen, so when everyone's led by someone like the Rebbe, but it's also, what's the point of the whole thing? But that also the Rebbe was teaching, but it was also like talking about everything in the planet that had to do with serving Hashem or what's going on, what needs to be taken on this or the other, what's wrong with that, things in Eretz Yisrael. I mean, it's all kinds of stuff.
It's just any one person runs a Farbringen. That's how it works.
Not always. It's just not always. Sometimes they just would get together, but usually it was sort of led by maybe the mashpia,
gotcha,
or the older member, or I don't know, something.
Okay, so first of all, do you have anything else you want to talk about? Because I have to ask you. I got my final question I got to ask you, and I got to...
I feel like we hardly even started.
Okay, that's true. But we will come. I'm going to do some of your meditation. I'm going to.
I think it would be great to do another one where we're actually doing stuff. I think I'd have to think it out a little bit so that it would be But I think it'd be really cool. It doesn't have to be as long either.
Right.
Whatever. Or
I don't have much control on my long things. Everything I do seemes to be long.
I see that. No, that's why I like it.
Everybody's like, your podcast should be a half hour, an hour maybe. I'm like, what? I'm having a conversation.
I listen to these things while I'm painting, so like I can do, I can get away with it. But people, when do they have 2 hours to listen to it?
Nobody does.
But I've had people tell me they listen. So what's your questions?
No, if we miss any topics that I wanted to.
Oh, plenty. But okay,
Plenty. I always ask, what is your rooftop yell to the world? If you're on top of the rooftop and you want to yell something, the world is listening. What do you want to yell to the world?
Yeah. Well, from my experience, I would say that all of us, every human being, but especially as a Jewish person, the Neshama and the whole thing, that all of us have like much more in us than we give room to let happen. But there's just much. And being an artist, I will tell you that why we call Hashem a creator, like there's something about creativity it's got to be, really like holy, like special, And I think in line with people's potential, everyone has potential for creativity. And it opens up so many doors. And whether it's in any area that you think you don't have talent in, or this or that, or anything like that, and not everything has to be like an art-based visual art or music or something like that. There's always, like I said, you're a creative person. To just like search, find out where, like how you can unlock that. A lot of times it's just in a locked place. And go for it.
Go for it.
Yeah.
I like that. I honestly think that that's an amazing message for today, because everybody I know is exhausted. When you think of doing creative things, they're like, like leave that to the artist. Like, I got no time for this. They're exhausted. Maybe I'm talking about myself, but I'm saying that everybody I meet is doing 2-3 jobs. Like, be creative.
I wasn't saying that you have to make a hobby and have a hobby room. I wasn't saying that really.
What are you saying?
I'm saying that in whatever you are doing, do something creative. Do something a little different. Change the atmosphere. Just make waves. It's where scary. You are. What?
It's scary. Isn't it scary?
You asked me to give a message. Yes, of course it's scary. You're making yourself vulnerable, right?
I'm standing down the bottom going, it's scary. It's scary.
Yes, you're making yourself vulnerable, right? And then the judgments come in and everything like that. But really, if you can make yourself vulnerable and get through your judgments and do it anyway, it's not I'm telling you, like, there's many times I have to go. I have to, if I have to speak or something, even like give a Devar Torah. Let's say I'm being a Devar Torah. I'm not a rabbi. But for some reason, I don't know. Artists paint pictures because they can't really talk about stuff so much. They paint pictures, right? But because I'm supposedly, I don't know, whatever, some well-known artist, like wherever I show up, it's like, give us a few words.
Okay, and you're like, I did. It's in the painting.
No, but it's not right for me to do that because I have something to say. If I didn't have something to say, we wouldn't have this whole conversation. So it's like, it's really not natural for me. But I broke myself, and still like sometimes get a little panicky, if I know I'm going to speak in front of a larger group. At this point, when I go any place, Shabbos, or I'm in a crowd or in a group, I prepare something in my head beforehand, because a lot of times it's like, do you have anything to say? And I feel if I don't, it's like, that's not. So I'm just saying, everybody can do in their own thing. Make yourself vulnerable a little bit. You'd be surprised sometimes. And then you get more confident at it.
Yeah.
That's one of my.
I love it. I love it. Okay, it feels like the Patreon part. Like go to Patreon for this part.
What's that? remember, I'm a baby boomer. Okay,
sometimes podcasters want to make money,
right?
And there's something called Patreon, which is like we did a regular podcast here.
Right.
But if you go to Patreon, you become a member. You pay some money.
Right.
You could see their like secret, back room stuff.
I see that. Yeah, I haven't been conned into that yet, but okay.
Anyway, I don't have a Patreon, but I should get it.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
I love money. I just haven't figured out how to get it, but I love it.
We'll talk about that.
Let's talk about that
after the podcast.
I grew up. My mother always told me money's evil, and then lately I'm like, I don't think it's evil. I think it's wonderful. It's a great tool. Why do you hate it? It's a generational thing. That's really what I wanted to ask, because I grew up a little bit idealized. This is a whole other topic,
right?
And I didn't get into it. I remember I wanted to ask you, but I totally forgot.
Okay.
I went through this period of like idealizing the 60s, how like people were shaking things up and coming up with new ideas, and then something you talked about on Ellie Nash. I actually was on Ellie Nash and had the same, not the same conversation, but some of the similar ideas about psychedelics. And I was saying that this is not the first psychedelic revolution. Like they had it in the 60s, and then they're doing it again. I guess my question is a very much more global question, and I'm not sure that you're the person to ask, but you're the first person that I'm having. Like you said, you're an older guy on my podcast. Why didn't the 60s work? I guess that's the question. I idealize
I call it, it explains in Chassidic also, there's lights and vessels, right? This whole thing we called Shviras HaKelim that Hashem created. So something that was too much light, and so it all shattered, and we had to put it back to pieces or something like that. That's what that was. It was too much light and no vessels to hold it. The vessels weren't holding it. It couldn't be integrated. So just think about it now.
Explain it a little. Dumb it down.
You're on a psychedelic trip. No, you didn't have it wasn't for therapeutic reasons, or it wasn't because like someone, whatever. You're just, I don't know. We were just wanting to get either high or experience some out of our body consciousness, because we were just, I don't know. Our souls couldn't handle being here and whatever was going on, the whole society, everything like it. And you're having this thing, and what do you do with it afterwards? You literally had no way of integrating it.
And there was nothing to connect it to, or
yeah, I mean, right. So I realized that, not that I did so much of it, but it's just, I said, listen, I can't live in that world. I live in this world. This is like crazy. I'm going to pop some pill. I'm going to I could maybe think, though, I may think that I'm God. That's fine. I mean, who cares? Whatever. It just does. So whatever. It wears off, and then you're back here, and you have to,
Why didn't they figure out how to integrate it?
Who's they?
Okay, the 60s.
Everybody was a victim of the 60s who was in it.
Well,
it was also like no one. There was half of what was going on was like, we're not listening to anybody. It was, and our parents, like they couldn't control us. It was uncontrollable.
Yeah.
And we were out of control.
I guess there was a tachlis. Let me tell you.
Basically, it was. You know what it was?
Yeah.
It was. I have a friend, Moshe Schloss lives in Eretz Yisrael.
I know him.
Okay, so
He's an old city.
Yeah.
It's very close to my mom.
Yeah. I wasn't very good close friends, but, he's from our time. So he says, the 60s was we saw the great light at the end of the tunnel, of the dark tunnel. He said, we just didn't know it was a train coming in our direction.
Right.
It felt because it was like that. It was like, on the other hand, that had to sort of happen or something, because there were good things. Those of us who realized, wait a minute, to just go to college and get this degree and do this and do that and do whatever my parents, it ain't happening. This whole physical wants and all this stuff without the spiritual, it just ain't happening. The whole conservative Judaism, this ain't happening. Not for me. This ain't happening. So he went all over the place trying to, So what a few of us, thank God, with mom is, just like the Rebbe was praying for him. Something I think because the Rebbe was praying for a whole generation. God's good grace that we just found Yiddishkeit, because there was no way we would have become. What we thought what Orthodox men or Hasidim men or stuff was just worse than a nunnery. I'm telling you, that's what we thought. Why would you even go close to it? So it's that experience is it was God sent somehow. And the other hand, it was also the whole beginning of liberalism going amok. And we were super liberal, progressive stuff. But those of us who realized, after a while, I almost died once taking stuff. I mean, after a while, after a certain amount, say, wait a minute, this ain't it, right? Mm-hmm. Then it left room for the Baal Tshuva movement, stuff like that, and people even getting good things, and there's a lot of good things came out of it, but a lot of real horrible things came out of it. So it's always choice, right? This whole all this progressive liberal, what do you call it, free Palestine. This is really offshoots of the '60s they just were rebellion, but they never really were for something.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's a real tachlis reason why I'm asking this. And I think about this more than I should for someone my age, but I'm very, very connected to the psychedelic movement of today. And because of the healing space, and it's
it's a whole different thing, and it's very hard for me to pass any kind of judgment about it. I know, no, and I'm not trying to get you to weigh in on that. I'm not. As a matter of fact, I don't love weighing in too much anymore, because I'm so much in this is a very bright light, and you got to be careful, because this is a massively bright light, and if you're not the right, like you said, not right, Kaylee, it's going to shatter. And integration, the word integration is a funny word to me, because what they say integration is like sitting down with a therapist and talk. No, integration is living 40 years in the desert. You got to do the work. It's work. That's what I'm talking about.
Right. No, I know. But what other... I guess what I'm saying is that I'm so deeply connected to people that are finding themselves healing, and it's very reminiscent of the '60s, and it doesn't have the chaos. Maybe
I don't think it's the same as the '60s.
I'm not sure if it's the same or not, but I do know that people are messing with the same stuff, similar stuff. They're saying it's for healing, but what is healing but finding yourself? What is healing but going so deeply into a spiritual place that you see the answers? I mean, still, the psychedelic doesn't change because one is for healing and one is for finding some enlightenment. It's kind of the same thing. You walk in, and I mean, I've had experiences with psychedelics in the healing space myself, and it gave me incredibly, incredibly powerful answers. And I didn't see myself as God or anything, but people have told me that.
I didn't mean it. I was using that as a...
No, I'm saying people have told me I was God, and or I saw God, or I think that it's not irrational to ask people in the '60s, what should we learn from your experience in this? Even though it seems different, it feels very similar to me. And it maybe have a different answer, but I think people are feeling the same way as they did in the 60s, where they're void and they feel like the life has become meaningless and it's just a lot of pain, and they want to connect to something deeper, and they're running back to psychedelics and some things like this. I want to know what the lesson of the 60s is like. What should we be expecting? Is there wisdom that you have? We're coming around to it again. That's how I feel.
I don't know.
I'm throwing it on you.
No. It's okay. And again, it's very interesting, but there's also something the Rebbe said about, because like most people, especially from people, what they thought was going on with the 60s, it was like, whoa, long hair. It was just like, this was not new. This was not something that happened in America. It was a very new thing.
Right. I also think a lot of wonderful things came out of it. I
Right. But one thing the Rebbe said was a plus was there was this wanting to not accept what is being presented to you as the emes, if it isn't. Right? That's number one. So some of the rebellion was for good reason. Some people just want to rebel and just run around, have parties and get high and have free sex. I don't know, whatever they were doing. Some people, not everybody, Don't get me wrong. There was a lot of this. There was self-medication. Also, there were a lot of there was real people with issues, and this was a way to get just out of and just check in with other people who were going through stuff. It wasn't all this like lovey, stuff for everybody. Trust me. But it was that. But the essential, especially for and the Rebbe talked about that there was going around turning to your roots. So people got back into health foods and like sowing the land. They didn't want to be like in the rat race, all this kind of stuff. So there was good things about that. That to me hasn't changed. Because there's always, like in every society, in every any kind of society, and even from societies, and there's always going to be stuff that's just you don't have to accept it, you just don't,
right?
And that's it. So stand up for it, and yeah, take whatever comes. But so that stuff to me is no different. That part hasn't to me changed, and the lesson from then I think is the same now.
It is the same. It's
the same lesson, but with the method of finding spirituality, I don't know. It's hard for me to like go there with this because I still don't have an answer about what is really a psychedelic. Why does it exist? What was my place in it? Like, what did it do for me, so to speak, in the positive realm, if you want to call it, like. Because there was I definitely remember a consciousness of being able to look at the society like this is just not the end all, more than just, there was certain things, but again, what do you do with that? And then also in my experience in the last number of years, getting into and doing my own private breathwork with myself every morning and meditation of that sort and things like that, and working with people whenever I do, and being parts of things or going to group this once in a while, you can have I have had this, you want to call it, I know what a psychedelic experience can be, and they can go from A to Z too, But I know what it means to have a psychedelic experience, and I will tell you, I have had experiences like that in holotropic breath work. And I love the fact that after, an hour, I can, you just come back to your regular breathing and, how am I going to integrate that?
Right.
How am I going to integrate, is that mode? And you go in with sometimes an intention. It's therapeutic. So I say, if you can do it without psychedelics, why not?
Okay.
That kind of thing. There are things, and sometimes it's not even psychedelics. Sometimes
listen. Psychedelics is just one of the examples.
But again, you have to be very, very careful. I've seen things this. I've seen things that. So, but again, I'm not the one to really place kind of.
I guess I'll say this. I really, really wanted the '60s to work, and maybe they did. But it's a weird thing to say work. It was a time period. But the idea of everybody questioning and saying, I want just the fact that like I know my kids are in college are doing the things that everybody in the 60s were fighting.
Right,
Right. We went right back in.
Right.
A part of me, the rebel in me, is like they saw the BS. They saw it. They saw it. They looked at it. They tried to fight it, and then went right back to it.
Yes,
so
but
that was weird to me.
But also like many things about college and study and this and that and learning this particular science or doctorate or whatever. I mean, for certain things, it's good. You know, I mean, like it's all things. Everything you can find good and you can find bad. That's just the way it is. You know what I'm saying? So like we just rebelled again. Like the line was, what is it? Turn on, tune out, turn on, drop out. Yeah. Turn on, tune in, or something like that. But to what? You know, like that's not it. It's not even like, especially Chabad chassidus. It's all about like, first of all, mind over your emotions. That has to be able to direct them in a proper, in a good way. You know, fight with your animal soul, whatever you want to call it. And then elevate every aspect of life. You know what I'm saying? You work, you have to work and support your kids. Make it spiritual somehow.
I guess it's I'm struggling with the spiritual void in myself where I see very clearly what doesn't seem to be, like I spend, I don't know, sometimes 80% of my day doing things and I'm like, this is just not the purpose. Like I'm just tinkering around, and it's like,
well, come on, wait. First of all, you are doing something which has an amazing purpose. So
no, I know, but there's so many things we're doing throughout the day that it's like
these days that's pretty normal because we live in a very high stressed type of existence, and with all the things going on in the world and anti-Semitism, all these things you have to accept the fact that you're part of this whole thing going on, and you can't make yourself crazy.
Too late.
What?
Too late. Around crazy.
I love that I say that myself. But anyway, yeah. I mean, whatever. We all make ourselves. Let's put it this way: we all make ourselves crazy. But
listen, I think the world, when I look at the world historically, and it just seems to be getting better and better and better. And people are like, this is the worst decade. People are talking about the end of 2025, and they're like, this is such a terrible year. And there was some bad things. Right. But come on.
You have to look at it from different viewpoints. You absolutely do. I agree with you.
Even I heard somebody saying like someone would tell their grandparents, like the great-grandparents, that say like, could you believe that the people, everybody hates that the Jews live in Israel and they have their own state, and the grandfather's like, the Jews live in Israel and have their own state?
Yeah, can you imagine?
You're like, that's what's happening? And an army?
And then someone a few years ago invented the Iron Dome. Do you realize if that was not invented? Do you realize? I mean, the miracles are just, and also, wow. I mean, I'm just like so amazed. Some of these young people, like this 14-year-old girl from the Sydney, that the mother was shot somewhere and she couldn't move, and she said, "Please, someone protect my kids." And she went out, and they said, "Don't go out there. You're going to be right." And she went over and she just laid on top of the kids, things like that. And the way she talks about it, she says, it wasn't a question. It was like, if I have to die doing something that's so like that, 14-year-old girl. These things that come out for some of the people with this, or the people from some of the hostages, how they found God in these tunnels. We thought, I didn't know how they could come out and be functioning at all. Yeah, it's like, what's going on? So there's this stuff that there's an awarenesses that are just stuff's happening way above our things. You have to open your eyes and just look around and see, that's what's going on.
There's just so much going on. Anyway, yeah, it went too long.
You'll cut out what you have to cut out.
I've cut nothing out. This was a wonderful, amazing conversation. And I'm like, it's been a wonderful experience having you here. And I really appreciate it.
No, it's likewise for me. I really enjoyed this very much.
I'm so glad you came. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you for this day that I've been given. Thank you. you for this chance. Thank you for this chance to live anew.